the practice in a lying down position this morning. So taking the practice as usual at your own pace and the way you're feeling today. So while you come to lie down on your backs, if it's possible, and please use some props that you might have, such as cushionings and blocks, touching the soles of the feet together and letting your knees fall out to the sides. So we're beginning in Supta Baddha Konasana. I will not share a card at the beginning of the practice this morning, as I've decided to go with one of my typical topics for the season, as it's quite a beautiful autumn day today. I thought we'll go with a focus on the tree. So taking yourself maybe out into nature this morning, and you can choose to focus on a tree that feels right for you, one that you might admire somewhere out in nature. I used to have a favorite tree, but that has changed now, as I no longer see this particular one. So I've chosen one in my garden now, which is currently really vibrant in color. It has a lot of different colors going on at the moment. It's red, it's yellow. There's still a part of these trees that are green too. So very, very different colors, and the leaves of this tree are quite beautifully shaped. And when you think it's almost a perfect shape of the tree itself as well, or with a trunk, and then it looks like a round big cloud of leaves on their branches. So maybe finding this tree for yourself as you're lying there, soles of the feet together, knees open out to the side. Now, if this causes you pain or discomfort somewhere, please do change this position if needed. As you allow yourself to rest there, you could almost see yourself as a little tree in this position. Maybe your arms are relaxed and you could imagine them as being the branches. And the feet, as usual, your roots down into the ground. And this is quite a bulky tree that you're lying in. And I would ask you from this place to consider your breath and to just feel the breath flowing in and out. And while you keep your tree in mind, we've got a very, very strong connection to trees as we breathe. Because the trees and us human, we're breathing in the opposite way. So we're kind of nourishing each other. And you might see that as your connection to the tree that you're currently visualizing. So when you're breathing out, the tree breathes in. And when the tree breathes out, you are breathing in. And so you're kind of nourishing each other. There's an exchange, and you can build that connection towards your tree. And as you might stay with that, see if you can deepen your breathing a bit. Finding yourself with a deep, full yogi or ujjayi breath in exchange with the tree that you're visualizing. And maybe you can see this exchange of air and energy between you and your deep breath and the breath of the tree as a circle, something that doesn't end, that continuously exchanges, changes and flows. And you might start to in a subtle way, change your lying down position more towards a reclined tree pose. As I invite you to slide your left leg out and keep your right knee in the position. So as if you are standing now on your left foot and the right sole of the foot rests against the inside of your left leg. And maybe you bring a flexion into that left foot as you get a sense as if you are standing on it. And while you keep your deep breath flowing, just as you established it, being this beautiful tree or in connection with the tree, you're kind of getting a sense and a feeling underneath the sole of your left foot. The contact to the energy that moves in and out of your body. And a sense of grounding through this energy. As you could imagine that through the soles of the feet, there's roots growing into the ground. I will ask you to stay with this sensation, with the flow of the breath, the light flexion into the left ankle joint. And as you take your next inhalation, let your branches move a little bit out. And you might bend the elbows and have them in soft cactus arms. And if you like, you can touch your thumbs and index fingers together and come into Jhana Mudra. Keeping your shoulders still grounded, still the sense of growing roots through the left foot. Your breath is still flowing, deep full yogi or ujjayi breath. And as you take your next inhalation, and on the out breath, engage into the core, the center of your trunk, and pull your right knee up, so to step the sole of the right foot onto the floor. Take a breath in and stretch out into the arms. And as you're next exhaling, giving your right knee an embrace and hug it in towards the chest. There's still an active left leg that you're playing with. As you take a breath in, then relax the hug a little. And when you're breathing out, hugging the knee back in towards your chest. Inhale, relaxing the hug. And once more, hug the knee in tightly towards the chest. I will ask you then to explore a twist as you place your left hand upon your right knee and let your right arm gently drop back out like a branch. And then taking your knee very gently across the body. This knee doesn't have to come anywhere close to the floor unless it's natural to you. Focus more on keeping your shoulder on the ground on the other side. And allow yourself a few breaths just to explore the twist. If you need a support here, a block might be nice under the knee. If you can hold, just hold wherever it comes to. Focusing on the turn that we've created within the spine, the part of the trunk of our tree. When you take your next breath in, roll back onto your back. Let the right foot land onto the floor again. Let your arm open back out into a branch. And as you take a breath in, let the right knee fall back out into your reclined tree pose. And from this place, lower the arms gently again by your side. Sliding your left foot up and place it again in touch with your right as we return to our starting position. That nice and bumpy crowned tree that we were in the beginning. We'll keep the deep breath flowing as it was, and now we'll slide the other leg out. So let your right leg extend now, engaging into the right ankle joint. And while you keep your deep breath flowing in and out of your nose, start to think again about the contact of the sole of your right foot against the energy that which we're exchanging with the tree. Before you take the awareness still in the sole of the foot to growing roots down into the ground. And as you keep yourself quite active in this right leg, the lower part of the trunk of your tree, let your arms float again back out and building branches. Keep the shoulders still relaxed on the ground so your elbows in a light bend, and you might touch index and thumbs again together. Jhana Mudra to help keeping your concentration going, the energy exchange, your breath. As you take your next deep breath in, and using your core as you're breathing out to pull your right knee up so you can step the sole of left foot, to step the sole of the left foot onto the ground. Inhale again. And with the next exhalation, then embracing your left knee, give it a hug in towards the chest. Inhale as you slightly release the hug. And when breathing out, bring the knee in a bit closer again. Inhaling as you soften the knee. And on the out breath, bringing it in closer again. And allow the hug to soften. Let your left arm fall back out towards the side and let your right hand touch your knee. And it is in slow motion that on the exhalation, you're drawing this knee slowly across the body into a light twist. Rather than taking the knee somewhere, keep it where it wants to be and allow your left shoulder to remain grounded onto the floor. And if you need any support on this side, feel free to pop something under. Stay here for a few breaths and exploring the change in the trunk, the twist in the spine. And I will ask you now to return. Return to your branches and stepping your left foot back down onto the mat. And as you next open with your breath, the knee comes back out to the side. And once again, sliding the other foot into a reclined bound angle pose as the soles of your feet come back together. Feeling the touch of your foundation, the feet that you're usually standing on. The branches are still out towards the sides. And as you next inhale, let both legs slide out long and reach your arms all the way up and above the head. As if you could touch the sunlight with the fingertips. You can now point out through the toes, trying to build a connection now between the ground and the sky, and then flexing the feet. If it feels right for you, and only then, take a deep breath in to sit up on your out breath out of the mouth. If you prefer to sit up gently, please do that. So if you come with me, breathe in. Lift yourself up, inhale as you're quite tall, and then soften your knees and just melt forward softly, allowing your head to come towards the knees, your hands towards your feet, and just soften into the position here. As you take a breath in, your hands might stay on your feet and you're starting to lengthen through the spine. If the feet are too far away, please take a hold of your ankles or your legs somewhere. And as you're breathing out, let the heels slide out a little bit. Keep the belly in contact with your thighs. Lower your gaze slightly. Allow yourself to feel a little bit of length coming through the backs of the legs. And this might be something that feels different for everybody. The intensity might for some only come when the legs really straighten. And for others, there's an intense sensation already while the knees are bent. So please keep it the way that feels right for you. As you're here, take another breath and lift through the spine, lifting your gaze as you draw your shoulders back. And then round your back on your next out breath to curl yourself up into a seated position. Now you can either choose to touch the soles of the feet together, maybe even to lightly hold onto the ankles here if this is your choice. Some of you might need their legs out long, which is fine too, or you could come into an easy pose if that is your preference. So if you're holding on to either your ankles or your legs or your knees, whatever you can reach quite easily, let's focus back on the foundation, the way you're sitting. And if your knees are out to the sides, allow them to be a bit more heavy, using the support of the hold to feel long in the spine. Let's take a breath in from this holding position and lift the chin up, opening through the front of the throat. And when you're breathing out, do exactly the opposite and round, and even tuck the chin in towards the front of the throat. As you're inhaling, lengthen again right from the earth up towards the sky as you're lifting through the chin. And on your out breath then, keep the hold, whatever you're holding on your legs, and just round deeply in, tucking the chin into the throat. We'll repeat that only once more. Take a breath in, lift up through the spine, lift up through the chin, keep the shoulders down. And on the exhalation, rounding all the way into your back, and the chin comes in towards the throat, activating Jalandhara Bandha. Lifting up into your seat from here. If you're feeling quite comfortable in your seat, please stay there, but make sure your shoulders are relaxed as you only hold on gently. If you had your legs crossed, maybe change the cross of the legs. Taking a breath in as you keep your gaze steady or the eyes closed. And when breathing out, start to turn your head towards the right. Taking a breath in as you center yourself. And on your out breath, turning towards the left. Inhaling as you come to center. We'll do that once more. Breathing out to turn towards the right. Inhaling to center and exhaling towards the left. As you inhale, come to the center and let your right ear drop towards the right shoulder. Keep it here. Start to lower the head as we're moving through the stretching of the neck. Moving over towards the other side, and please do move slowly, turning the head then so that the left ear faces the left shoulder. Breathe in, center your head. We're going the other direction. Exhale, left ear back towards the left shoulder. And in a slow movement, starting to turn the head. As you begin to lower, the chin is back in towards the throat, and we're changing sides. Moving your right ear back towards the shoulder, and then lifting all the way up. Now, if you're quite confident in your seated pose, take a breath in and lift your arms out into branches. Otherwise, please feel welcome to change the seat. And as you're breathing out, turning towards the right with the whole body, not just your gaze. Keep the shoulders relaxed, the branches in the arms. Inhaling, find your center, and exhaling, turning over towards the left. Inhaling, as you come to center, let your arms move around and come up onto your knees, sitting back towards the heels into an extended child's pose. Keep it active, forearms off the floor, shoulders open. Gaze is now down towards the mat as we begin to flow that little bit more with the whole body. On your in-breath, very familiar movement, come to all fours. Tuck your toes under and breathe out to lift up into downward facing dog. We're not going to stay here. We keep these postures flowing as you inhale, lower to your knees. Untuck the toes. On your breath out, extending back towards the heels. Inhaling, coming to all fours. Toes tuck under, breath out. A downward facing dog. Inhaling, come back to your knees and keep moving like this. Stay connected with the breath. The parts of the body that are touching the floor, the ground underneath you, and how you're reaching up when you're coming into your down dog. The hips are building like a treetop if we think about these short pine trees. Keep it flowing for 2 more rounds. Your breath still the connection. A feeling of being on the ground and then reaching up into your last down dog of this flow. Pause here. And start to walk the feet then towards the top end of the mat. As you allow yourself to stay low, leave the head hanging, leave your arms hanging down. Keep your knees soft. Get a feeling of grounding through both feet and now on the floor, actually in contact with the ground underneath. Engage into your core and breathe out to very slowly rise up into standing. And as you take a breath in, lifting the arms out into the branches that we've practiced before and settling as you're feeling down into the soles of the feet and right up into the fingertips and the top of the head. Getting a sense of that connection that a tree might have to offer to you. Struggling with words this morning. So I'll ask you to shift the weight over and sliding your right foot up for a tree pose of your choice. As you take a breath in now, stretch the arms up, maybe your gaze. And as you're breathing out, stepping the right foot back as you lower your hands and your foot into a lunge. Placing the right knee down onto the mat for a kneeling lunge. And leaning a little bit forward into a light stretch. So knees on the ground, right knees on the ground as we're leaning forward. I will ask you to swing the right foot around, to let your hands come into the center, to bring the left knee to the mat and touch the big toes together and reach forward. And I know you're reaching off your mat this time as the knees are wide, wide-legged child's pose. Breathe in. And on the out breath, round yourself up as you're sliding your hands back up into a seat. Take a breath in and open your arms into branches. Lift the chin, lift the gaze. And as you're now exhaling, round the arms forward and into the back, touching the fingertips together. Let's do that again. As you inhale, open the branches, chest and gaze. And when you're exhaling, round your back, touch the fingertips together. Repeat this movement, inhaling, open, exhaling around. Same movement, just 2 more. Moving into the spine and staying connected with a deep, full breath in and out. Holding your last one around it. As you reach your hands back down in front and extending once more into a wide-legged child's pose. Come up onto your fingertips as you breathe in and walk the hands across towards your left knee, leaning over the left knee. As I ask you to slide the right leg out, bring the knee down onto the mat, step up onto your hands and slide the other knee back into a kneeling plank. On your out breath, then lower down towards the mat. We'll add a little flow as you inhale, find the cobra. Breathe out to lower. Inhaling, come onto all fours. Tuck the toes under, breathe out and stretch the hips up and back. For those of you needing a bit of gentleness today, this will be your position. Otherwise, extend your legs into down dog. Let's take a breath in and lift the right leg up. On your out breath, aim with your right foot forward between the hands. Lowering the left knee down onto the mat and leaning the hips forward for your kneeling lunge. I will ask you to swing the left foot across, to walk your hands into the center of the mat, to bring the right knee down, big toes together, and once again, an extended child's pose, knees wide. As you inhale, and on your out breath, sliding the hands in as you're coming up to sit. Into your mini tree as you open the arms out, opening the chest. We're repeating. And as you're exhaling, touch the fingertips together deeply around your back. Inhaling, open. Exhaling, round. Once again. Two more. I hope you can find your own pace here, keeping the connection of deep breathing to that shape of a mini tree. And after the last one, keep yourself rounded. And from this point, extending the arms forward, returning to your wide-legged extended child's pose. Coming up onto the fingertips as you're breathing in and walking your hands over towards the right knee this time. Beginning to slide your left leg out as you place your hands onto the ground. Sliding the right knee back into a kneeling plank, and now it's up to you if you want to go stronger, tuck the toes under. Find a full plank instead. And on the exhalation, lowering down towards the floor. Untuck your toes. Breathe in, find cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, release back onto the mat. Inhaling, all fours. You know, you could come back to the puppy pose or make it an extended child's pose. Inhaling, all fours, or stay in your puppy. Toes tuck under, out breath, down dog. I'm inviting you now to walk your feet back forward to the top end of your mat. To breathe in once you're there and lengthen the spine forward into a half lift. And when breathing out to fold, stay here as you inhale, engage into your core. And when breathing out, slowly curling the body up into standing. Returning to your branches as you take a breath in. Index and thumbs might touch for better concentration. Allow the shoulders to be relaxed, elbows soft, but fingers, all but the first two, might be spread out. Finding your contact again into the ground. Become strong in the trunk as you stand, steady in your gaze. We will shift the weight towards the right foot and starting to slide the left foot up into any type of tree that might feel good. As you take a breath in, and as you take a breath out, let's step back with the left foot into a lunge, the hands to the ground. Stay here as you soften your back knee. Use an out breath to roll up into standing. Use once more your tree branches as you breathe in. You might even open your gaze up. Now, when you're exhaling, lower your left foot. Come back to that more shorter tree. Round your back, touch your fingertips. So both knees are bent, toes are pointing outwards. Keep it quite low as you breathe in. Open the heart, the branches. So same movement here, just a little bit stronger as we're staying in our goddess squat. Breathing in to open the spine at the front, the branches. And breathing out to open the spine at the back, touching the fingertips. Two more. You can stand as high or as low as your body allows you this morning. Hold yourself rounded here. Place your hands down onto your legs. Begin to straighten the legs out as you turn your heels outwards. Take a half lift on your in-breath and come to a wide-legged standing forward bend on your out-breath. Soften down into your forward bend, and the weight as usual shifts a little bit forward within the feet, but keeping your heels on the ground. Steady, deep, full yogic or ujjayi breathing, shoulders lightly lifted into their sockets. On your next in-breath, come up onto your fingertips. Now let's turn the right toes forward. Walking your hands down to either side of the foot and lift your back heel. You can choose to step into a kneeling or a full plank. And as you're breathing out, make your way down onto the floor or towards the mat. Inhaling to cobra or upward facing dog. If you're in upward facing dog, go straight to down dog, otherwise release on your out breath. Inhaling all fours, choice of puppy or extended child's pose. Inhaling all fours, exhaling downward facing dog. Allow yourself a few breaths, just feeling grounded with the hips quite high in the air. Each breath flows deeply, feeling connected to the ground and feeling the reach up of your hips that extends into your spine. And when you next inhale, lifting your left leg up into the air. On your out breath, aim with your foot forward. Come to your fingertips as you're bending into the back knee. Wait for your exhalation as you're curling up into standing. And take a breath in as you're opening your branches out, relaxing down into the shoulders. As you're finding yourself opening through the chin that is lifting. And then lower your back heel to the mat. And on the exhalation, rounding the back, touching the fingertips together. Again, we will repeat as you take a breath in. Open the arms, open the throat, the front of the spine. And when breathing out, touch the fingertips together, rounding into your back. You can stay as high or as low in the stance as suits your body. Go for 3 more. And as you find your last one, keep it rounded. Placing your hands back onto your thighs while you're turning your heels out. I will ask you this time to curl yourself up, to take your arms all the way behind your back for an interlace. To once more open the front of the spine as your arms pull away from your back. And then please do bend your knees as you move into another wide-legged forward fold. Just that your arms are now lifted away from the back. The weight still comes forward within your feet, and you're keeping your heels on the floor. So other than that, nothing else has changed. I invite you to stay here for a few breaths. Let's release the arms down. Find a half lift as you inhale, turning your left foot forward as you're walking your hands to either side of it. Lift your heel, step the foot up to the front, take a breath in for half lifting. And as you're breathing out, lower. Waiting for your out breath to curl up into standing. Again, return to your branches as you take a breath in and settle into the stance when breathing out. Feeling your feet on the ground, index thumbs might be touching still. I will ask you now to breathe in and lift the arms up and extend fully, and you might touch the palms together and cross your thumbs over. Pushing the palms together and the feet firmly into the floor as we sway like a palm tree, bending over to the right hand side. Inhaling, come to center, and exhale as you bend over to your left. Breathing into the center, we'll go once more to each side. Swaying like a tree in the wind. As you inhale, turn your toes outwards. And as you breathe out, still press the palms together. Keep your heels on the floor. Come down for a little squatty tree. Push down into the feet. As you inhale, connect again right up towards the sun, the sky, as you're extending your body. And on your out breath, palms pushing firmly together, feet stay on the ground. Come into a squat, however low feels right for your hips and knees. Inhaling, extending again. Working once more with your breath on the connection, sky to the earth. Once more, breath in. As you're breathing out, holding quite low, hands at your heart. Let's turn the toes forward And extend the arms to the front for a chair pose. Breathing in, and on your out breath, folding down. On your in breath, lengthen the spine forward. On your out breath, step your right foot back for warrior one, so just a little bit out towards the side, foot grounded in an angle, left knee stays at a bend. As you press down into the floor, lift up your branches as you inhale and settle into modified warrior one on your out breath. We've still got the 3 branches going. I would ask you from here to shift the weight forward, finding your balance as you approach yet another standing tree pose. As you breathe in, and as you breathe out, take your arms behind your back. Now, while you keep your balance, you might take a hold of the elbows, or some of you might be able to come into reverse prayer, choosing your option. Now, on the next inhalation, lift your right knee. And then as you lean a little bit forward, step the foot back to that warrior one stance. But now we will straighten both legs. We'll take a breath in and lift the chin and open through the front of the spine. And then as you keep your feet grounded into the floor, start moving forward. And you could come all the way into your pyramid, where your nose comes down towards the knee, keeping your shoulders and elbows back, and finding a firm stance. I can only recommend to keep the eyes open. I've got a tendency to close them when moving forward, and that's quite challenging for the balance. Staying here for another deep full breath. And we will release this pose by bending into the front knee, releasing the arms, and then slowly pushing into the floor as you're rising up. Take a breath in, come back to the warrior one with the branches. As you breathe out, bring your hands to touch at the heart. Extend this into warrior two as your next breathing in. And then lean it down as you're placing your left hand onto the mat. Now you can slide your left knee down for a kneeling side plank, or you could extend the leg for a full side plank. That's your left hand on the ground. Maybe the left knee, maybe both legs are extended. And if you're into fallen trees, you could step the right foot up. We will take this down into a flow as you find your plank or kneeling plank. Go through your own flow. Don't rush it. Remember, we're in a slow flowing practice. Your choice where you're at right now. You might already be in a downward facing dog. Which is where we are meeting. Beginning to walk your feet again to the top end of the mat. Inhale there for half lift. Breathe out to fold. Stay here to inhale. And exhale as you're rolling up to standing. Once more, open the branches as you breathe in and find the stability of both feet grounded into the mat. Gaze is steady. Keeping both feet grounded, extending the arms upwards. While you touch the palms of the hands together, find a different cross of the fingers, the thumbs, sorry. And as your next exhale, bend over to your left. Inhale, come to center. Exhaling, bending to the right, your swaying tree. As I invite you to repeat that swaying once more to each side. As you come to rise, let's open the toes up. Keep the palms pushing together as you're bending your knees, lowering again as far as you can, keeping the feet grounded. Inhale, extend again, connection, heaven to earth. Our breath, push the palms together, quite strong, arms lower. Only one more. And hold it in your squat. Where you're turning your toes forward and taking your breath in to extend the arms into your chair pose variation. Breathe in here again. And as you're breathing out, come to fold. Inhaling for a half lift. Now I ask you to step your left foot back about 1 meter out to hip distance and to ground your left foot down all the way in an angle. Keeping your right knee in a bend. Push down into the floor, lift up for warrior with the branchy arms. Index thumbs might be touching as you come back into your warrior stance. Feeling that there is ground underneath for you to play with. As we're taking the weight forward, and you might keep your branches, just shifting the weight, taking your left foot into your chosen tree pose. Find the strength in the right leg, shoulders soft, gaze steady. While you breathe in to lift, and then stepping the foot back as you're embracing either your elbows behind your back or you're touching the palms of the hands together. If you're holding onto the elbows, you've got one arm on top, change that one. Finding yourself back in that hip distance stance, legs are straight, take a breath in, open the front, maybe lift your chin. And when breathing out, keeping that firm stance and starting to move forward. If you can, both legs will be straight and your nose comes down towards the knee. Keep your shoulders back, your elbows back, your feet on the ground as you're moving into this forward fold. To release from it, bring a bend into the front knee. Releasing the arms as you're coming up, returning into the warrior with the tree arms. While you're breathing in to open, hands come down to the heart, and then turn as you inhale for your warrior two. This time it is the right hand that reaches down towards the ground. And you can choose to bring the right knee down onto the mat, or you can choose to extend the leg, side plank variation. Maybe it's a side lying tree. Release that. Bring your hands down, maybe your knees as you find another plank, and come through another flow as you're breathing out. Stay connected to your breath and your variation of the flow for today. We will meet in downward facing dog. I will ask you to find your way onto your knees as you're breathing in. To keep your toes tucked under, to keep your hands on the ground but to step them a little back, and to now turn your tree upside down. Usually an upside down tree is actually a handstand, but I don't want to take you there in a slow flow as it's quite a fast movement. So you might take the crown of your tree down or the crown of the head. If you still feel like going upside down all the way and you know your neck and shoulders are okay to do so, you know how to progress in this tripod stance, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, I encourage you to just stay on the crown of the head, to keep your hands down, maybe also your knees, and to lift your shoulders so they're back in their sockets. To just rest there and breathe. That is fine, perfectly good as your inversion today. We will bring the roots back onto the ground if you lifted them into the air, stepping your feet back down onto the floor, knees back down if they were lifted, and find your way back to your heels where you're resting. And if you like, can you touch the palms of the hands together, point your thumbs up and touch them to your third eye point. I will ask you from here to roll up on your elbows. If you can't sit on your heels like this, please bring your feet together at the front if that's possible, but we'll all open the knees out, even if that's in an easy pose. So finding your own variation. You would assume what's happening, but coming back to the branches as you take a breath in, touching index and thumbs together and opening into the branches. Make sure the shoulders relaxed, elbows soft, gaze is steady. You've got that solid, sturdy foundation again, that connection to the ground underneath you. Breathe in. And as you're breathing out, turning towards the right, and you could take this a lot deeper than at the beginning of the class. Maybe take the back of the hand to the outside of the leg, and maybe wrap your other arm behind your back. Keep yourself grounded on the heels or the floor, and go into the twist with your spine. I will ask you to release this in a rather unusual way as you're leaning over to this side and you're sweeping the arms in front, whether you're seated or on your heels. Using your out breath to curl back up to your seat, and an in-breath to return to the branches. And while you're breathing out, just settle back into your tiny tree. Inhale here. And as you're breathing out, twisting towards the left. And the same exploration here, as you might take the back of the hand against the leg, wrap the other arm behind your back. Keep yourself seated over the sit bones on the heels. And your twist comes from the spine. We will release again from here as you're leaning over, swirling your arms towards the front. And on your out breath, rolling up, this time extending your legs out in front of you as you take a breath in, lifting the arms. Now, my house is very warm right now with the sun shining in. Yours might not be, so gather your things for relaxation. Have them all close by, whether that's a cushioning or some warm clothing, a blanket, whatever you might need. We won't get up from here until the end of class, so just preparing yourself. As you take then, when you're ready, don't feel rushed. Lift the arms out. And on your out breath, begin to roll down onto the mat using your core strength. Once you're lying down on your back, I invite you to slide your feet back together as once more we come to reclined bound angle pose. See if you can use your core and on an out breath, lift the feet and the knees up. You can separate the feet here. Take a hold behind your thighs while you're lifting your feet and draw the knees down towards your shoulders or armpits. Now we all know what this looks like, and that's on purpose. So if you feel you've got the flexibility to, take your arms to the insides of your knees and take a hold of the outer edges of the feet instead, completing a happy baby pose, which helps us to open the hips a little bit more, finding some ease potentially in the back and also softening into the shoulders. Maybe adding a little rocking movement from side to side. Pause, breathe in, breathe out, and bring your feet back together. And you might keep a hold of the feet if you've got them there, and just bring them in while the knees staying out. From this place, will I invite you to touch the feet to the ground for a moment. And then to choose your relaxation pose. So you might just slide the legs out all together to keep the feet on the floor as they were before, or to bring some cushioning underneath the knees. I will ask you to let your legs come to rest, to have that last little wiggle into the pelvis so the pelvis feels really grounded, the foundation of your energetic body. And to allow the arms to be open, soft branches that are slightly pointing downwards and out towards the sides. I invite you, before you come into complete stillness, to leave the head on the ground and to roll it gently from one side to the other, releasing any potential tension that might have built up around the neck. And hopefully that is released. And even if it's not, you're finding the head in center. Make sure that the chin has that subtle tuck if there's no cushion underneath the head, so that the neck is in a neutral position. Close the eyes or steady your gaze. And return. Return to the image of the tree that you have chosen to work with at the very beginning of your practice. As you look at the tree in your mind's eyes, the different colors of the leaves, notice the subtle breeze that is gently moving the leaves. And notice now that one of the most colorful leaves that is on the tree is getting blown off its branch by the gentle breeze and is sailing down towards the ground. Imagine you walk over to this leaf and pick it up with your hands. Look at the leaf as if you've never seen one before. Look at the color. Touch it with your fingers. Feel the shape, the delicate veins. Maybe your leaf is soft, hasn't dried yet at all. Maybe it's already a little bit crunchy. Just notice what you can observe. Knowing that the tree put a lot of energy in growing these beautiful leaves and will do so again when the season comes. And now the tree is letting go of the leaves, sustaining itself during winter. Maybe noticing the change that is occurring within you, maybe in relation to the season, maybe in relation to what is going on in the world right now. Notice also your body that is resting on the floor, having the connection to the earth, same as the tree stays connected to the earth through the roots. Support that we can rely on. While you notice the softness of your breath that is flowing, here's another thought that came up in a card. Of course, it has a tree, or rather two, as a picture. Life bestows her blessing. She is the wind of change flowing through you, and this change is your blessing. Don't try to hold on, no matter how unsettling it may seem, for all will magically transform when the time is right. When you look back, you will see only love. I will ask you now to deepen your breathing. Maybe add some movement. And return your body into a seat when you're ready. I will also ask you, when you come up to sit, to take a breath and return to the branches that we've worked with throughout the practice. To hold the branches gently as you inhale. And as you're breathing out, bring the hands to touch at your heart center. Staying connected to the center of unconditional love that we can develop for ourselves and can share with others. As we lightly bow to each other, Namaste.